the SDF Auditorium and welcome to this new edition of Young Manufacturing Leader Summit. My name is Andrea Frollà. I'm a journalist specialized in digital economy and tech innovation. I'm very passionate about these topics, and this is why I'm excited to serve as moderator of this great event. First of all, I would like to thank the World Manufacturing Foundation for inviting me and to thank SDF for hosting us in its Italian headquarters. Today, we are here to try to understand what's going on in the world of manufacturing from a technological point of view, but above all, we'll try to imagine what will be the future of this economy and try to imagine the impact of digital revolution on workforce transition, sustainability, and leadership, of course, young leadership. We know it's not easy because everything is changing fast and deeply, and I know it's not easy because this session comes after lunch, and after lunch it's never easy anyway. We'll do a great job, I'm so sure about it. This event will also be the occasion to find out the winners of the contest of this year, the World Manufacturing Report Contest and the YML European Innovation Contest. You, as young leader, you have such a great responsibilities in these challenges, and for this reason, I can't wait to hear your thoughts, your visions, and your ideas for a brighter future. Before going deeper into the topics of this event, I would like to introduce you to our first three guests. For a warm welcome, Diego Andreis, President at World Manufacturing Foundation, Paola Fantini, Education Director at EIT Manufacturing, and Marco Tais, Scientific Chairman at World Manufacturing Foundation. Welcome. Diego, I would like to start with you, another edition of this Young Manufacturing Leader Summit. What are your feelings? What do you expect?
Yes, very excited about this. I mean, I think in the last 2 days, we heard a lot, and not just in the last 2 days, we spoke a lot about digital transformation and sustainability, right? These are the two macro trends, the two really like accelerating macro trends. And while as senior, we do understand that, and we want to set the direction. We need the new generation and a community like the young manufacturing leaders to step in. Because really, I mean, you have both in terms, when you're talking about digital, when you're talking about sustainability, you have a different sensibility than the previous generation. So you're absolutely fundamentals to that. And then brings you to the second point, which is about the attractiveness of our industry. We do have initiatives in Italy to make the sectors be more attractive to the new generation. When I'm talking to the new generation, it's not only about the youngers, but it's about who is going to influence the youngers to take a certain direction. And for example, in Italy, we do understand that the first influencers into the families, to the new generation, are actually father and mother. And then the second one are our teachers, right? And last night I was talking at the table with Dean Bartels in the US. And he was actually, I didn't start the conversation, he was actually making exactly the same point. So they have a huge problem in manufacturers in North America for being attracted to the new generation. And that's why on the table, really, we really try to envisage a very large campaign, which is not about manufacturing in Italy, manufacturing in Switzerland, manufacturing in North America, manufacturing as a whole, because we really have this problem. So really, but who of you that's close to the manufacturers understand that this is the place where most of the extraordinary things of our time are actually happening there? So it's a completely different, the perception that a lot, not everybody, but a lot of people have out there compared to the one who work in that industry, there's a very big gap, right? And I think to win that gap, to close that gap, we cannot only keep, saying the same things. So we need to say different things in a new, different way with a new storytelling. And I think really like a community like yours can really serve as ambassador for a new storytelling. Using also the different kind of tool which communication it's of course part of. And lastly, it's not only important to attract talent into an industry, but it's very important the capacity to retain those talents. And then this seems to be obvious, But what we are experiencing as industry leaders in the past like 4 or 5 years is that the young generation tend to stay less within the company for several reasons, right? But it's very difficult because you need to invest in people. We want to invest in people, but the point is the attention span of the new generation into a business stays very short, and then everything becomes very complicated. So it's very difficult to tweak that. So I think one of the topics that I would like for your community to discuss that is that what do you expect? And we would like to hear your voice. What do you expect? What is important for you? What do you expect from companies to do in that different? So I'm closing with these 3. Thank you.
Paola, Diego, yeah, if you want. Paola, Diego was talking about the challenge of not only to attract but also retain talent. This is one of the effects of the biggest job revolution we are facing right now. How we can get ready for a future we don't know.
Nice question. Thank you very much for that.
It's my job.
Yes, of course. We have listened to different presentations today and also what Diego said. There are a lot of transformation, and one of the biggest issues is how to think of the role of humans in tomorrow manufacturing. And the role is also the meaning that the people will have in the company. And for me, it's very, very important that this role is kind of co-created. So I hope that you, as young manufacturing leaders, as stakeholders of manufacturing, are open to consider that the new joiner can also have a voice in constructing the meaning together with the people that are the owners and the managers that are already in the company. So I'm also thinking that one of the competencies on top of all the technical competencies that are key nowadays is entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. So the way in which individuals, young or next generation, however you want to call it, can leverage on all their capacity because they have a motivation to go towards a common goal together with the other people in the organization. I think this is key and is also related to the narrative. So it's a narrative that is not completely prepared for the new joiner, but is a narrative that can be co-written, co-created together with the next generation. I'm happy to hear from you what are your reactions and if you agree or if you disagree on that. And yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Paola. Marco, this morning I heard a session and someone said the best way to face the future is to design the future together. We need solutions, we need answers, but sometimes we also need the right questions. What are the questions we should pose ourselves to get ready?
Yeah, thank you very much. The first question I think we need to find an answer is the following. In the last years, we are talking about, gaps. We are talking about the gender gaps. We are talking about the fact that we need to address diversity in terms of gender diversity, in terms of religion diversity, in terms of social diversity. I think we need to add one type of diversity. If we want really to design the future we want to have, not only in the society, but also in the company. And the diversity I think we need to add is the generation diversity. The WMF launched this Young Manufacturing Leader Initiative. This is fine, you're great, you're doing a great job. But I think you need to start to discuss and talk with the non-young manufacturing leaders if you want to design your future. If you look here in the audience, I see a lot of young people, but there are not old people, let me call it this way, listening to what you have to say. Right, so the first question is, how are you able, or what is your plan in order to, co-design the future that you think is the one you need to have? I think this is the role or the challenge that we need to face. That's the first question, and I think it's the first thought and the first strategic, I would say, line of the young manufacturing leader should work in the next few months. The second is the scarcity. We are going to live in a world of scarcity, any kind of scarcity, energy, raw material. But there is one scarcity which I think is really going to affect the future, which is the scarcity of people and the scarcity of the right competences. And the question is not what are the right competences, because this is a very old question and there are many panels and conferences about this. But the problem is how we are going in a strategic way to address this kind of scarcity. Are we going to use more automation? Whatever automation means, robots or artificial intelligence, which is a cognitive automation. Are we going to use a different way to address this kind of scarcity? Or the other answer is, are we going to reduce the way we are consuming products and services, and therefore, if we reduce it, we become more productive, and therefore the scarcity is reduced by redesigning the products and services. I think it's another question which I would like to hear. And third is, manufacturing is, for many years been considered a pure mechanical, sector where the mechanical technology was there. More recently, of course, we are talking about digital technologies. This is fine, and that's why we're talking about mechatronics, okay? And this is fine. So we were able in the recent past to combine those two kind of technologies. Now with the twin transitions, where we are the digital technology, the digital transition, and we have the ecological transition. What is the right way to combine those twin transitions? Everybody's talking about twin transition. I don't think we have yet found the solution on combine them or exploit them in the proper way in order to design our future. So if we are able to find the answer, I mean, you will do what is required by the future. Thank you.
It will be great. Big applause for our guests. Thank you so much for this first vision and also for the questions. But if we want to have a real official welcome of the Young Manufacturing Leaders Summit, we need at least one of the young leaders sitting here. For this reason, I'm going to leave the stage to Greta Braun. She's PhD student at Chalmers University of Technology.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me well. Welcome to the YML Summit. My name is Greta Braun, and I'm a PhD student at Chalmers University of Technology. But I'm also one of the Gothenburg City Hub coordinators, where we coordinate events for our network. I'm beyond happy to be here with all of you these days. I think it's a great community. It feels like a family almost, where we all share the same passion for innovation to enhance a sustainable, human-centric and resilient industry. Our generation is facing many challenges that we need to overcome. We have a climate crisis that is real. I don't know who saw it, but the United Nations recently, a week ago or something, published a new report showing that we have really struggles to fulfill this 2-degree goal until 2045. Instead, we are already marching towards 3 degrees global warming until 2030. And we need to do something about that. We face also geopolitical threats that disrupt our value chains and make us rethink everything. Also, our generation is a quite small one. I mean, we who are sitting here today, sorry, For example, in Sweden, there are half as many 20 to 25-year-olds compared to 30 to 35-year-olds. And I think the situation looks even worse in other countries like Italy or Germany, where the population is shrinking even more. So it becomes even more evident that we need resilient solutions to overcome different disruptions and changes. For many of us, this causes fear and makes us question if we are even allowed to dream about a better future. But I think we can, and I think we really should. We should dream. We should even dream big. No one can take away our dreams. And when it comes to manufacturing, our generation has a chance to dream big and see how technology can not only enhance efficiency, but also foster sustainability and inclusivity. We need manufacturing to keep peace within Europe, because manufacturing does and has the potential to create great workplaces for everyone, but also to make Europe as a continent competitive and strong. In the situation we are in today, it's important that Europe can remain an innovation leader. That's what we're really good at. And also be a role model for other countries and continents. The European Commission sees these values, human centricity, sustainability and resilience, as a new paradigm in industry. And they also recently, I think most of you heard about it, this new Industry 5.0 paradigm where we try to focus on these three values. And as I'm part of this working group and in the steering board for this working group, I try to get the perspective of us young people into this discussion. Our generation, I think, is characterized by quite a unique set of values. We crave purpose, meaningful engagement, and we feel this sense of responsibility towards the world and the environment that we live in. Today, as we gather here, we can bring our perspectives, and I think everyone should really try to communicate with others on these topics, because we all here have a chance to discuss how we want manufacturing to look like in the future. So how could the manufacturing landscape we dream of look like? I dream of a manufacturing industry that drives, first of all, innovation. I see manufacturing landscape where creativity knows no bounds and innovations are popping up as trees in the rainforest. We use deep technologies for that, and the ideas could come up from anyone, anytime, anywhere. So that's first innovation. Secondly, I think sustainability should always be at the core. So in this vision of the future, sustainability is always the main priority for each process, product, or service. We have a business case for sustainable, resilient, and human-centric manufacturing, and to make it economically sustainable to invest in these values. So we need to discuss how do we make it profitable as well, of course. And thirdly, the human is at the center. So in this dream, the manufacturing floor is a maker space with diverse talents and perspectives, and we aspire to break down discrimination and create a culture of learning, openness, and appreciation for each other. Everyone knows that they are valuable and keeps learning new things throughout their work life, lifelong learning. People learn skills such as analytical thinking, creativity, emotional intelligence, and of course about different technologies such as AI and additive manufacturing and so much more that we've heard about these days. So everyone understands that they are needed to drive this transition forward. Let's remember now that each of us here today plays an essential role in shaping this vision into reality. It's not just about dreaming, it's about taking those dreams, turning them into actionable ideas, and collectively working towards a manufacturing landscape that aligns with the values of our generation. Because I think one thing is for sure, we're stronger together. We have 8 city hubs and around 660 members today in the YML network. And I think that's quite a strong group of people. So let's dive into these discussions with enthusiasm, curiosity, and a shared commitment for the future of manufacturing that we all here can be proud of. Thank you, and let's start with the YML Summit 2023.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Greta. It's always hard to hear someone talking about the fear for the future, but it's always good to hear someone talking about dreams, and especially real dreams. Now we are ready to go deep, to start. As I said at the beginning of this event, everything is changing fast and deeply. And this is why, in this case, it's fundamental to design the context in which we live and in which we want to create and innovate. Alessandro Somaschini, National Vice President at Giovani Imprenditori di Confindustria, is here to help us. Understand the title of his speech is Out of Ordinary Business Model to Attract and Retain Talent to Manufacturing. Applause.
Good afternoon. I'll try to use this stick because I need to turn pages, but if I don't succeed, I'll change, in the course of works. So, distinguished guests and authorities, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and an honor to be here opening the Young Manufacturing Leaders Summit. I'd like to thank, first of all, the authorities, President Diego Andres for his relentless efforts, Scientific Chairman Professor Marco Taj, and all of the talented people that are making this project successful and well-known worldwide. I proudly come from this land, and it's a great feeling to see so many of you visiting our companies and sharing the same values that built the prosperity of our region. A strong work ethic, attachment to our roots, and at the same time, openness to the world. And the world we're competing in is changing, and it's changing very fast. And if we want to understand change, I think we need to break it down. And we can break it down into 4 dimensions. The first one is technology. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, advanced materials are all shaping manufacturing in unprecedented ways. So the shop floor you see today in a typical manufacturing shop is very different from the past. Robots are performing repetitive and physically demanding tasks, making the work of line operators very different from what it used to be, a lot better. And this trend is moving upwards in the labor value chain. Technology and remote working are giving access to a broader pool of talent globally, and machines are increasingly performing intellectual tasks, increasing the competitive pressure on high-skilled workers. These technological transformations pose great opportunities, but also great challenges in terms of human capital, both from a qualitative and a quantitative standpoint. The skills the market is willing to absorb and pay for are changing, and the number of jobs available has the potential to shrink in the future. It's up to us to identify the drivers of change and turn challenges into opportunities. The second dimension of change is climate. I believe shifting to a new model of environmental, social, and economic sustainability is the most critical challenge of our times. These 3 pillars of sustainability are intertwined. There will be no shift to environmental sustainability if economic and social sustainability are not ensured. If we leave too many people behind, society at large will refuse change and will turn to political parties that offer simple solutions to complex problems. The shift to a sustainable model also has to be a collective effort to be successful. Europe accounts for only 8% of emissions globally, which is a small fraction of the problem. And if we don't have on board countries representing the other 92% of emissions, we will not go far. And yet, the green transition that's being promoted in Europe has one of the most radical approaches in the world and is posing serious challenges to our companies and workers. without providing truly effective solutions. We need to go beyond ideology and approach the issue with pragmatism. Technological neutrality, a practical assessment of all the options for energy generation, including a serious discussion on nuclear, can help us to steer the conversation in the right way. Renewables will always be part of the mix, but we have to be realistic about the need for other sources as well. The third dimension of change is geopolitics. Francis Fukuyama said in 1992 that history was over and that we would have witnessed a never-ending process of rising democracy and free markets. Well, Fukuyama was wrong. The clock of history is still ticking, and the wars in Ukraine and Israel are a reminder that our values and our freedom are not something we can take for granted. In the last decades, we lived through the golden age of globalization, and we acknowledged that business was driving politics at a global level. The quest for lower costs and increased margins drove a large number of companies to new destinations that saw an unprecedented economic development. Conversely, the middle class in Western countries saw a relative decline in its standards of living, and all that frustration led to the rise of populism. Now we see the reverse happening. Geopolitics is back. The perimeter within which it will be advisable or even possible doing business will be to some degree shaped by politics. And globalization will have a new form. We don't know exactly which one, whether the key driver is going to be reshoring, nearshoring, or friendshoring. Of course, depending on the outcome, the consequences on employment and inflation will be different. Reshoring has the potential to boost employment, but also inflation. Friendshoring might be an option that contains inflation, but doesn't have a positive impact on employment and supply chain security. What we know is that supply chains will be shortened. It will be probably easier to do business with countries aligned with our military and political global alliances. And geopolitical risk will not be a marginal factor whenever deciding where to buy, sell, or invest in the global marketplace. So geopolitics is back, and history is back. The fourth element of change is demography, both from a qualitative and a quantitative standpoint. In Europe, we have a declining population, it's been said before, and a significant phenomenon of skill mismatch. Those two factors pose a serious threat to the stability of our welfare systems, the availability of qualified personnel, putting upward pressure on wages and costs. In other developing areas of the world, population is increasing, and climate change will drive the surplus of resources towards developed nations. So we have drivers of supply and demand of labor globally that are working in opposite directions. And it's still unclear whether these opposing forces will balance out. Migrations can be seen as an opportunity or as a challenge. The important thing is to be prepared and manage them. Plan a strategy and execute it, just as we do in our companies, freeing ourselves from ideological positions on both ends of the spectrum. Another important shift when it comes to demography is qualitative. New generations are increasingly conscious of climate change and are keen to work for companies that behave as good corporate citizens. And this will have an impact on attraction and retention policies in the competition for talent. So what are the effects of all these trends on human capital? Among the many aspects, I'd like to share a couple. The first consequence is on skills. Given advancements in technology and the twin transition happening, some skills will become obsolete very quickly, and some others will be in high demand and short supply. Whether young people will be able to position themselves on the right end of the spectrum will heavily influence their chance to find a job which is both financially and personally rewarding. On the side of companies, I think it's imperative to act on the issue of skill mismatch as quickly and assertively as possible. The second consequence is on competition. In the first age of globalization, competition was between companies and between low-skilled workers. The pool for low-skilled workers became very large very quickly, putting downward pressure on wages. In this new globalization, the logic is different. To the extent companies will, at least partially, bring production back to their nations or to countries close by, there may be upward pressure on costs and wages of low-skilled workers. However, technology has the potential to boost competition between high-skilled workers. AI and augmented reality have the potential to put our engineers directly into competition with young engineers living in other developing areas of the world. The demographic trend in Europe suggests we may have an increase in competition among companies in the so-called war for talent. Demand for talent is high, supply for talent is lower. So companies struggle to find the people they need. So the challenge becomes how to attract and retain the best possible talent. And companies have to be aware that new generations are different from previous ones. They are relatively more interested in intrinsic motivation rather than extrinsic motivation. So for a company, it is key to make sure to be perceived as good corporate citizens, not harming the environment or the social fabric of the community. Jobs should be designed in a way to foster empowerment and accountability. To the extent this is possible in a specific industry or department, flat hierarchies and responsibility at an individual level are probably better than top-down structures with a focus on process rather than on the outcome. Third, young people need forward momentum more than their predecessors. So it is key to provide performance reviews and structured opportunities for growth. The key here is to push on intrinsic motivation. Good pay and benefits are not enough anymore. Sense of purpose, self-fulfillment, the feeling of being part of something greater than yourself are just as important. Now let me turn directly to the young folks here in the auditorium with a few thoughts and some advice coming from my personal journey. So first of all, follow your instincts. Listen to everyone, but in the end, make your own decisions. Because you and you alone will be the one facing the consequences, good ones and bad ones. Find your talent, the one thing that makes you shine and you're good at. You may not find it at first, but keep trying. Life is too short to live somebody else's life. Always exercise your critical thinking. Society, the media, everyone will try to sell you their vision of the world. Don't buy it. Make your own. Read, travel, develop your own vision based on experience and facts. Be bold, study hard, work hard, and don't waver. We have huge challenges ahead of us. Climate is changing, geopolitical balance is shifting, technology is disrupting entire industries. The world needs the best talents to tackle these challenges. And motivation alone will not solve problems, but when it's combined with hard work, the right skills, and talent, it becomes an unstoppable driver for change. And if you fail at some point, that's okay. Get back on your feet, regroup, rethink, and try again. Because there is no future set in stone, and you are the ones building it, starting now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alessandro, for your vision and for your advices. Your vision is interesting because it's full of technology, sustainability, geopolitics, demography, and it's a representation of the complexity of the puzzle we are living right now. You mentioned also the impact on skills. Will be one of the focus of this session. We are preparing the chairs for our speakers. The title of the session is Deep Technologies and Young Manufacturing Leaders, Smartifying the Next Generation Workforce. And I would like to introduce our speakers. Joel Curi, EIT Manufacturing Master School students at University of Trento. Liliana Antao, PhD students and data scientists at Deus.ai. Elisa Roth, co-founder and CEO at Augmented Industries. And Erika Castelli, Vice President, yes, for Europe, the European Confederation of Young Entrepreneurs. How are you, first of all? Great?
Great, great.
Joe, I would like to start with you. I know Joe is smiling because yesterday we were at dinner and Joe revealed his passion for Inter, the football team from Milan. And then he discovered that it's not my football team. And so I said to Joe, pay attention tomorrow to question. Anyway, Joe, the first question is difficult because the topic is difficult. We discuss about the impact of artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We usually discuss about job lost and job created. The truth in this case is always in the middle. From your point of view, what is the most relevant impact of artificial intelligence of workforce? There's a problem of obsolescence of skills, lack of skills, something other?
First of all, thank you for being invited and being with you here. So first of all, let's start talking about AI. AI is a hot topic right now. AI that we know today is narrow AI, weak AI. We are towards going into more AGI, super AI, which is still hypo-theoretical. But the world is moving towards having smarter AI. We saw the generative AI and we were all, I guess, fascinated by its use and its results, output. So talking about its impacts on the workforce, I believe, based on my experience, right now I'm working with an Italian manufacturer. We are developing a model in order to do predictive maintenance and predicting lifetime of tools, so based on NLM. So what we are doing right now is kind of creating multiple agents and creating kind of a model that will train a model. So whatever the data we have, we will have like dynamic models. Why? Because we need to kind of not have, like to shift a bit the work of a data scientist, for example, instead of doing repetitive tasks, doing routine works. So he will be focused more into more advanced topics, more topics that will give an impact, make an impact in the industry and the manufacturing process. So automating is shifting jobs. I'm optimistic. I'm excited about AI. I'm optimistic in this way of thinking that AI is helping more than it is destroying jobs or making jobs obsolete. It is a tool right now. We are not talking about AGI with the intelligence as a human, on a level of a human. So at the time being, we can kind of imitate the way of AGI, but it's not an AGI. So we are still kind of safe. I believe that the world is moving so fast. I believe that right now AI is helping in shifting. It's shifting jobs. It's helping in improving jobs efficiency. So this is my opinion, to be honest, about.
Joe, you mentioned the AI for manufacturing because you are working with Italian companies.
Yeah.
How AI can be used to help people living better their transition?
Yeah. So here, AI, we saw a lot of examples, a lot of case studies in use cases. So, for example, if we see in computer vision advancements in computer vision, so it can help, for example, in quality control. It can, for example, also in using RAG and LLM, where we can put the data set of the whole company and we can retrieve data that we need. And this, for example, for maintenance teams, for example, in case they need support if we included all, let's say, catalogs, data sets, everything, all the data related to that machine. When we have a problem or an issue, we can easily ask, get the question and the answer, get the answer super fast. So it's easy to use. It helps people to have less time lost, increase efficiency, increase productivity, and safety also. Safety is a very important point we have to here to talk about, because safety in AI, especially also in computer vision, so it's like we need safety. Like, okay, we have productivity, we have efficiency, but also safety is very important. So AI also is helping in safety.
Many aspects.
In many aspects, yeah.
Liliana, we are in the middle of generative AI big boom. We are probably in the highest point of the hype cycle of Gartner. From your point of view, how the generative AI can be adapted, integrated in different industry, because this is the challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much for the invite also. So first I would like to ask the audience a quick, very fast question. How many of you have used ChatGPT? Just raise your hands. Everyone, right? Everyone. So that's generative AI for you. That's the boom. Everybody's using it, everybody likes it. And right now, what you need to think is, how can you apply this big technology to manufacturing, to industry, and how can we make sure that people know how to use it, right? Because you must have all also see some issues with that type of technology. They sometimes invent information, they're called hallucinations, right? So it's really important for people to understand the limitations and then with that, know how they can adapt to its reality, to its context. If you have a company that it is dedicated into producing some type of material, you can use this type of technology very easily if you know its limitations and apply it to your data. Because technologies like ChatGPT are in a wild world of all the data available in the internet, right? But we can actually make it context adaptable. You can take the data that you have in your company, all your manuals, all your books, and just make it answer to that. So once you know the basis of it and collaborate with companies that know the AI, that know how it works, you can actually then use it well in your company and make it more productive, more safe. It will not replace your employees. It will help them be more creative if you know how to use it.
We need to teach the ChatGPT how to do things. Liliana, the excitement is part of innovation, is one of the natural part of innovation. But we know there's no revolution without issues.
Yeah.
What are the most pressing ones from your point of view, and how can we really mitigate these risks?
Okay, for me, one of the most pressing ones, everybody would say security and data security, but everybody's trying to address that already. But maybe most of you don't know that there's a huge issue with most of these models, which is bias and fairness. Because these models are trained on the data that we have in the real world, and we and our data are biased, are unfair in some topics. So we need to make sure that we at least have some types of monitoring tools, at least to know what our models are doing. I can give you a quick example. In 2019, Amazon had a hiring algorithm that crossed out some CVs based on training data that they had from the previous hiring years. And all the data that they had was men being hired. So the algorithm learned from the data to cross out women. And they just saw that issue 1 year after. So for the full year, women were not being hired by Amazon when they were using that algorithm. So we really need to check how AI behaves to make sure that it's inclusive, not only for gender bias, but all types of bias, because AI now is taking care of some decisions. And that's where human supervision is really needed. You really need to understand how it behaves and why it behaves like that. So explainability also. Let's try to understand why the model is making that conclusion, why it's taking that decision, and then use that in our advantage. That's it.
We'll go back on this. Elisa, let's start with your research and PhD background. You have studied, if I'm right, the recent transformation of blue-collar training. What type of challenge are we talking about? Is it a technological challenge? It's an HR challenge?
Yeah, as always, I think we have to be honest here, and also in the case of blue-collar training, it's a perfect storm. So I'm not the first one pointing this out today, that the skills gap is really kicking in right now. So in Europe, the generation with the most people was the baby boomer generation of 1964. So what we're really seeing already on the factory floors is that within the next 5 years, vast amount of the workforce will just break away. On the other hand, the transformation pressure, for example, automotive, shifting an entire workforce to the electrification is up and reskilling at scale. But to look at the challenges, if we look at the training tools and programs that we have available, they just don't work for the factory floor because it's too expensive to take our blue-collar workforce and send them to a 2-day fancy seminar or let them basically step out of productive operation for a longer time. Also, e-learning, sometimes it's even too expensive to take people out for an hour of watching videos. And on top of that, it's very boring just watching a video for 1 hour. So this is from the training perspective, though that's definitely a tech challenge. How can we develop training formats and training technologies that also work on our factories? The other thing is organizational development. In traditional organizational setups, what we see is, or what I also saw in my research is, that there's still a lot of improvement of making HR, learning and development, actually work together with production. Because in the past, they were very separate, and this was just not enough to create valuable training programs. So what we now do at Augmented Industries, which is a research spin-out, we really build factory transformation tools that are built on interactive micro-learning that can be integrated in the flow of factory work to in that sense bring lifelong learning finally to the factory floors, and making sure that we don't leave this entire workforce behind, which often makes up 70 or 80% of the workforce.
Elisa, you mentioned Augmented Industries. Today you are an entrepreneur. Even if you started from research. Your adventure is one of the examples of technological transfer. How hard is today to transform your knowledge into something with real impact?
Thanks for the question. Let me also start with raising hands. Who is interested in the startup ecosystem or even thinking about building a startup for yourself? Maybe raise your hand. That's quite a few, an interesting sign, because manufacturers watch out, because competition for talent is fierce. So that's great. So I can definitely speak to you guys here thinking about building your own company at some point. The reality is building and leading a company is always hard. But the great news is you already have a unique competitive advantage for building your own company, because you had the chance to spend 3 to 5 years becoming an expert in a topic. So you already have the credibility and deep market insight that it takes to then build a company. So, but then, this still doesn't make it easy. So the devil also here lies in the detail. So let me share maybe 3 recommendations that I learned from stepping from the world of research into the world of business. So I can definitely recommend trying to improve and hone your communication skills as early as possible, because it's very different to present an academic paper as it is to really make a sales pitch and really convince a manufacturer to collaborate with you on your software. So that's the first thing. The second thing is build your network. And I think this is why events like this are incredibly important, because now the one advantage that you have, you're now a trusted, neutral researcher, and every company will love to talk to you and telling you about their problems. Once you are in business, and I think we had this in a couple of panels, it might be very difficult to get honest replies from companies what they're really struggling with, because you might be wanting to only sell something. So use your position as a researcher to really understand problems in depth. And the third thing is focus on market fit. So really look what's the real commercial potential of your research, because I think a lot of us are engineers. And we love to build, and we love to test new technology, build new technology, spend time in the lab, and this is great. But I saw a lot of startups really failing because they were focusing too much on the technology. So don't be afraid, go out very early, talk to companies, not only if this is an interesting research topic, but also something they might allocate budget to it or even finance. Because if you find it out early that companies are not going to pay for it, even better. And in doing so, you also improve your communication skills.
Erika, we are talking about a great transformation impacting all over the world, as Alessandro Somaschini said before. But here we are in Italy and in Europe. So my question is, how is Europe doing? Is it really managing this revolution?
Buon pomeriggio, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for including Yes for Europe in this very interesting discussion. I represent the voice of 100,000 entrepreneurs today, so I hope you listen to me. I can tell Europe is doing well, but I hope it will do better. Having a manufacturer, we are working hard. We know this year is the European Year of the Skills. We have been speaking and listening a lot about this today. And I think training is the most important thing we have to focus on. We have been listening also, my colleague. This is important for the young generation because we need to attract them. And it's more important for the people that work in our companies that maybe are 60 and they don't understand why they have to adapt to a new digitalized world, even though in 5 years or 7 years they are going to retire. So we really need to invest on it. And we need to work into collaboration with universities and institutions, because Europe has set many important challenges and is going to reach them and asks us as companies to reach them, but sometimes Europe doesn't say to us how. 2 weeks ago I was with Mr. Somaschini in European Parliament because we are trying to give our point of view regarding the product digital passport. That will be new regulation from 2025. They already did the second trilogue, and we gave our point of view. We are discussing on how to implement it in the better possible way for companies, but actually until now we are going to finalize the third trilogue next week. We don't know how to implement it. We don't know if we are going to use a blockchain or whatever we need to use to do it. So we have to work on the how to do things better. And we also need industrial policy at European level. And after COVID, I think everybody understood that we also need a made in Europe product to provide European companies. because it's not possible that I have a manufacturing company in the wood sector and I cannot provide sinks because maybe I don't have stainless steel because it comes from a country that now is fighting for a war. So we have to be able to provide the things we need to maintain our companies competitive, because it's not only my company that needs to be competitive with another company. It's Europe that needs to be competitive with United States and China. So here we are in the World Manufacturing Day. I think we are all aware of this. And if we want to continue to give work to our workers, we have to be aware of this and work make our companies be winners in the market.
Erika, even if sometimes the how is missing, you as the European Confederation of Young Entrepreneurs are doing things. What are the most important initiatives?
I think the best part is the network, because we are doing many initiatives like bilaterals, meetings in order to share our common problems, share ideas how to solve them, go to expos together. We just went to the G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance before the politicians met in India. We went there in order to meet with all the entrepreneurs of all over the world, at least of the G20 countries, and try to work together for a better future. I think network is the best part, and of course fostering the job, the labor. That we know the path is sustainability. We have been saying it today. We know the path is green, but we look for prosperity of our companies. That means prosperity of our countries. And in order to do that, with Yes for Europe, we try to work on activities that make our companies remain on the market at the proper level.
Liliana, I would like to go back to the topic of women in data science and AI. Is bias a problem of those who process the data?
Not only, but it's a big part of it for sure. One of the things that people need to understand is bias is needed, okay? What I mean by this is that machine learning AI is built upon bias, is built upon statistics, and they have bias, right? The statistics say that women have less likelihood of working for manufacturing, for instance. So this is a built-in bias in the data. The thing that we should try to do is include people that are aware of this bias in this type of systems, so then when we have, once again, I think I'll be repeating a bit, but this is really important. Once we have decisions that are dependent on the systems, we know the impact that some of this bias may have. And if we have people, women, different races, different ages, because bias can be on ageism also, and manufacturing, the workforce right now, it's mostly old, right? So we need to be aware of that. And if we have those representations in AI, in data science, on the people that work with those models and build and make them approachable for manufacturing, we can have systems that will not have unfair outcomes for those people, which is really important. And that's why it's important to have representativity in those roles, to be aware of the data, how to deal with it, but also that the models, even if you deal with the data, it will not take care of it. If I can just go back to the example of Amazon, one of the things that they tried was actually remove the female and male gender. So they tried to solve it via data. It did not work, because all the other data still pointed towards some characteristics that women usually put in their CVs that men don't. So the issue is not just solving the data itself. You need to try to understand the outcomes of those models. And that's it.
Liliana, the artificial intelligence is not something new, but today is still something very technical. How can we make AI more familiar to everybody?
Yeah, I think in this, I would say 3 big points. First, like my colleagues already mentioned, it's very important to have learning and upskilling and reskilling in some of these points. It can be boring, I understand that, but we need it. We need to understand how it works, how we can use it. Second, we can make these systems more friendly, more user-friendly, and I think we are already going that direction. With ChatGPT, once again, you can just type in, you don't need to understand anything about the model. It will spit out an answer, very easy to use. Most of the models, like the ones that you mentioned, predictive maintenance, they're not very easy to use, not very interactive, right? So it's really important to put AI end-to-end with UX, UI design, for instance, make sure that everything is very easy to use and also make it explainable. I think that's really, really important for everybody to understand why the model is doing that. Because if I'm making a decision, I can explain myself, right? I can tell you why I make this decision because a model doesn't do that. And then you don't know why it's doing what it's doing. So for people to understand and don't be scared of using it, explainability would be a good point also. So I would say these 3 main things.
I know one of these challenges as a journalist. It's not easy. For me, Joe, when we discuss about the impact on workforce, we usually mention both the upskilling of young people who are going to into the work and the reskilling of the workforce. In your opinion, we should put these challenges at the same level in terms of priority?
These two, they cannot be exclusively, mutually exclusive. Sorry. So the point is, the company has to decide, like, because if they want to work on the long term, they have to invest in young people, so and in upskilling and for let's say in their current employees, reskilling is very important on the short term. So, but here we have to add a concept also for young people. We have a gap. We have to know that we have a gap sometimes between how the industry is going super fast in the technology and how the educational system. So sometimes there is this gap which the current educational system cannot cover 100%. So it's good to create an environment of motivation. So self-learning could be also a very good point. So self-learning, like it can by creating this motivation environment for employees, it will boost upskilling and reskilling in the industry. So I have suggestions based on some experience and some. So as we know, we produce data more than we consume. So as far as we in the near future in 2025, so there's not enough databases or storage to store all this data. So streaming industry and streaming is getting to be a trend. So for high performance computing or in order to train the LLM models. So learning about, for example, Kafka for young people, about Kafka, about Dockerization or about Kubernetes, or about network. It's not all about how to make AI. It's also about the infrastructures that in the company, in the software engineering, in the software development, to understand somehow the whole concept. So it's very important.
How can we make AI more familiar in 30 seconds?
Yeah, it's a very good point about when you mentioned about explainable AI. Explainable AI is something like we all said we use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, why it's nice? ChatGPT because it's user-friendly, because they took a decoder, so we prompted. We try to talk like we talk to a human, to a person. So this makes AI more familiar. Explainable AI, when we have in computer vision, for example, if we need to specify exactly what is the cause of this prediction? It will make, for example, for quality control, it will be very important to understand. So the employees, the operators will be involved in the process. So they will create a detail-oriented person, employee. So explainable AI. Also, we have to create an environment of trust. So for example, I cannot, for example, explain for someone who doesn't know about AI exactly how it works. AI, we have to show them the result of AI. So creating an environment of trust. So this is very important to show the people, like, in order to get more to understand more the concept, to understand more the importance of AI.
Erika, we talked about the past and the present. What's next in Europe?
So many challenges. We have been living a crisis. We have been during the pandemic. I think what is next is the best. I hope so. And we are working, we are working on many things. First of all, we have to attract young generation. As companies, we have been listening already today. Young generation today, when they come to interview, they want work-life balance as a priority. Not easy for a manufacturing company, because if we have a line on production, at least you have to stay there 8 hours, at least in Italy. Okay, so we need to, work on welfare, give them much more motivation. I read the research of for manager that says that from today to 2026, we will need in Italy 4 million workers with the medium and high level of green competencies. I do interview my company. I can tell you the young generation don't have these skills nowadays, so we need a European university to help us to have ready workers of tomorrow and work on the competencies. It's something new, and we need the university to go at the same speed that the job market goes. And he was speaking about AI. I hope our children will not be too lazy. I didn't introduce the ChatGPT to my children. I want them to study. I want them to be curious. And we need to have we need to be smart. Use these tools to be better than we are, but still work on ourselves and be challenging ourselves to be every day better than we were yesterday.
Erika, I'm curious about the European Confederation of Young Entrepreneurs. You bring together 100,000 entrepreneurs from all over Europe. How difficult is to create a common vision? Because if I think, for example, in politics, every time we argue about everything. With young entrepreneurs, it's not like this?
Yeah, it's like that, but at the end we find a solution in order to make things work. We have different point of views. We are from different cultural backgrounds, but we work for our children to say one day, my homeland is Europe. Today my children might say my homeland is Italy. Okay, we work with this hope. Okay, and also I can tell that in this time of uncertainty, trust is fundamental. I think if we are not today in our companies and we are here, is because we think that moments like this can make things work better for the future for our companies. And so that's what we do in Yes for Europe. We do meetings, we try to do activities in order to maintain our business, because our business will make also our workers have trust in us. So the center is also, the fact that we give work to many people. The people trust in us as entrepreneurs, and we have to trust moments like this, and meeting with the institution and meeting with the university. Yesterday we listened to the voice of Cambridge. Here I see a sponsor of University of Bergamo. So we want a moment like this to build a better Europe that will be competitive in a better world.
So different moments and different way of building the network. Elisa, similar question for you about the future, but what are your projects for the future?
So first of all, I believe that we need to empower every individual out there to help us with the transformation to succeed. Because the challenges are just too big that we can afford that we leave anyone in the workforce behind not helping us with this. So for us at Augmented Industries, it will be all about building and transforming and scaling up our factory transformation tool. This year, we already empowered 500 operators, especially in electronics manufacturing. And next year, we're super keen to really empower 10,000 operators in 20 factories across Europe. What this means for the product when it comes to project, we're right now building our generative AI content creator. So we really want to make AI really accessible, not also for operators, but also for factory managers and learning managers to really take away the bottleneck of training creation, because this was really hindering up and reskilling at scale in the past. And also we're developing personalized learning journeys and a recommender engine that also makes it easier to align people's individual interests with factory transformation goals like quality targets, or scrap reduction, or even sustainability metrics, while still making sure people can develop in the direction they really want. And then what this means for us as a company, so we're really ambitious, we're motivated, we're the generation, I always say, we are ready, so we're young manufacturing leaders and we're ready to take on responsibility. And for this, we really want to become Europe's leading industrial education tech provider by 2030, and make sure that we take everyone along on this journey.
We can feel the ambition in your voice. I think at the same time it's hard to do all of this alone. What is your vision of open innovation and co-creation?
Very good question, and I can only say it's impossible to do this alone. So I think we have to distinguish open innovation doesn't equal co-development. So it's not that we're giving our IP freely away, because that would threaten our business model. But what I think where there's still huge potential is in co-development. So really starting with a user-centric design, spending time on the shop floor, talking to people, but also working closely together with works councils, with HR, with factory management and top-level management to really create solutions that benefit everyone. On top of that, co-development, we're still working closely with the university. So, for example, doing student projects or still writing papers. We still have a very scientific approach to software development, so we want to get our results out there also to the scientific community, and then startup programs. So I can only agree, it's all about building trust, building strong communities, and from there, coming back to what's our responsibility as young people in multi-stakeholder collaboration, it's very disciplined and proactive stakeholder communication. So if you have, it's not enough to network, it's also important to maintain your network, reach out to people, keep them in the loop about your progress, also ask questions, and really take responsibility for not losing anyone. And then it's not only for everyone who might not be interested in building a company. I think that's important for every innovation project. So really find your mentors, build your network, because alone everything will be hard to achieve. So maybe what I want to leave you with as fellow young leaders is really think about the impact your research can potentially have, and I believe the research of every one of you might have it, and then start today improving your communication skills to make sure that it gets out there, because your work and your time is too valuable to just store it in a drawer somewhere. Thanks.
Start today is always a good advice. Joel Curi, Liliana Antao, Elisa Roth, and Erika Castelli, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can drink, Erika, don't worry. And now it's time for the award ceremony of the first contest of this year, the YML Contest for the 2023 World Manufacturing Report. And this is why I would like to call here, I can see them, right? David Romero, Scientific Vice Chairman at World Manufacturing Foundation, and Antonella D'Urso, Event and Project Officer at World Manufacturing Foundation.
Thank you very much. Guess we can stand. So, thank you very much for joining us. And let me start saying congratulations for that initiative, for that leadership, to everyone that participated in the report contest. It's important for us to get more and more submissions. We will negotiate a way to have more pages in the report to include more reports coming from our young manufacturing leaders in the future. But for this year, we have selected a couple that we found very interesting because their combination of what we discussed last year in the World Manufacturing Report, not really, 2 years ago, combining digitally enabled circular manufacturing, so how digital technologies can help to achieve our sustainable development goals. At the same time, how we can use, again, that technology to achieve those goals, but in a way that it's business-wise, that is economically viable. Being said that, let's start with recognizing our winners of this year. So the first one was titled Achieving Sustainable and Resilient Business Models Through 3 Strategic Shifts by our young manufacturing leader, Sandra Jacek. Please join us on stage. Congratulations. Congratulations. So, picture.
Thank you.
Okay, let's use these ones here. Fantastic. So our next winner, his report was about enhancing sustainability and resiliency through business model innovation for electrical engineering SMEs. Patrick Drult, please join us on stage. Congratulations. Okay, teleprompter is a little bit slow. We have a third winner on reshaping manufacturing business models, a holistic approach towards sustainability. Please join us on stage, Aikara Terini. I do my best, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Last but not least, addressing sustainability goals through deep tech-driven business models, a collaborative approach to innovation in manufacturing. Emanuele, please join us on stage. Congratulations. So that's all for the words, but again, we would like to take the opportunity to invite you to continue submitting your thoughts. That's the whole point of the report, to have thought leaders like you sharing your visions for the future of manufacturing. So we're looking forward to have your perspective for next year. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. No prize for journalists. It's okay. It's not a problem. Before the second panel, dedicated to clean technologies and young manufacturing leaders saving our planet together, I would like to remind you the possibility to download the report titled Additive Manufacturing for Production in Space. I don't know if we have the slide. No, we don't have it. It's not a problem. Here you can find two main topics. The first one is the additive manufacturing for the replacement of parts during orbit, and the second one is in space closed-loop additive manufacturing and additive manufacturing using recycled materials. Here, the slide you can download scanning the QR code or downloading from the website. Are we ready? Yes? Okay. I would like to call here on stage Federica Acerbi, Manufacturing Group Politecnico di Milano, John Duo, Senior Space Electronics Engineer at Satlantis, Andrew Dixon, there's nobody, Andrew Dixon, Founder and CEO at Infraprint Technologies, and Johan Parsa, Research and Development Director at Rosie Solar. Okay, I would like to start with Federica. Federica, we said many times today the scenario is changing fast and deeply. If we look at the research, how can we choose what is good to focus on in terms of research? Because it's not so easy.
No, yes. So first of all, thank you very much for having invited me today. It's really a pleasure to be with you. And I think that it was really an interesting event, so thank you very much. And yes, for sure, it's quite hard to do research in this challenging environment. It's quite hard, but I think that we are doing our best as universities, at least. And yes, for sure, I think that one of the most important things is to collaborate. It's been said many times during the other panels, and I think that collaborations and creating the right ecosystems, so go out and try to find out what are the real needs of this changing environment is the right way to start doing our research. So we need to understand what are the real needs of our companies, of manufacturing companies, and do research to support them. Because I think that they might support us in giving us their vision, their mission, and we can support them in finding and supporting them in creating the right pathway. For sure, we need also to keep into account what policymakers and governments are asking us to do, and so research should support them to understand what to do in the best way, and we need to be aligned with their expectations, for sure. Yeah.
Federica, what about the manufacturing group? What are your priorities in terms of research?
Yes, yes, we are trying to do this, exactly what I just mentioned. So as a group, we are trying to look at manufacturing at large, trying to observe manufacturing needs through different lenses. We have researchers that are much more focused on asset lifecycle management, and other researchers much more focused on product lifecycle management. They both try to look at life cycle perspective. So life cycle thinking is absolutely relevant when we look at circularity, sustainability issues. And then and I'm part of the rest of the people of this research group. There are other researchers focused on processes, on the factory at large. So we are looking at how to try to combine all the elements within the factory towards sustainability and circularity. So we are trying to understand how to create the right processes, embedding the circularity principles, and trying to link them with like the product designs and asset designs, keeping always into account that we have a workforce there that should be able to operate in such a changed environment. So we are trying to look at all this stuff and all these issues that manufacturing companies are trying to deal with.
John, we showed the QR code to download the space reports. I think that this topic sounds familiar for you. What is the main goal of Satlantis, and also what is your approach to green technology? That is the topic of this session.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. First of all, Satlantis is a molecular space company that we develop imagery solutions for the Earth and the universe exploration. And I would say that the main goal of Satlantis is to understand the language of the light. And for that, what we do is to develop the full camera from the optics, the electronics, and the post-processing and everything related of that. And we also lead the missions. And some use cases could be like security, defense, and then also infrastructure control, surveillance, whatever. And regarding the light, what we do is to observe the visible light and also the infrared light, the near, the medium, and the long infrared lights. And to your question of which is the approach of the green technologies, for the environment, it's a key point to have a constant monitoring to see how it develops among the time. So the satellites provide a unique opportunity for that, because what we can do is to have a constant measurement of a daily, more or less, frequency of the whole Earth. And here we can measure a lot of things. For example, the plastics in the ocean, to have a follow-up of them. We can also have a tracking of the different gases emitted by anthropogenic sources, like methane. This exact point, the methane, is one of the gases that we are really specialized on detecting it. Because, as you know, the methane is, after the CO2, the second most important gas regarding the greenhouse effect. And it's estimated that around 25% of those emissions, they are from artificial sources. So it's very important to have a monitoring of them and see which are the sources of those emissions.
John, this is Satlantis until now. What about your R&D for the future, research and development? What are you focused on?
Yeah, regarding that, I mean, Satlantis is a constant research and development company. It's in our DNA. And we have a lot of projects running about the research and development. For example, we are running a polarimetry filter for the cameras, because understanding the light as a vector that it is, and how different surfaces reflects and it puts in a certain vectors. With that information, we can define different objects, different materials, and whatever. Another part also would be the methane detection that I talk about. For example, this year in June we will launch our last satellite called HeySat Precursor, and it's a satellite that is aimed fully on methane detection. And for that, what we do is to focus on the absorption spectrum of the methane, and with that we can measure all the emissions of the methane, like it could be, for example, gas leakage of a big company or whatever.
Andrew, you could be the professional brother of Elisa, because like Elisa, you have been involved in research and tech transfer. Did you expect this skip from research to business? Was something in your mind?
Not at all. No, 100% thought I was going down the academic route, and then somewhere along the line, I just started taking a liking to projects that ended in the industry environment. So rather than it being a paper and then it being published and then you get a lot of views and you get some citations, seeing it being applied in my case, the marine sector, one or two small aerospace projects, and very practical end use cases, just gave me a whole other perspective on how research should be applied. And I suppose after working with a few companies through my postdoc, ended up applying for a few patent applications, got to know the process a little bit. The question came up, well, why don't we turn this into a company rather than just continuing to do research and try and take it out of the university? So I have to give the university a lot of credit for that, because it's quite a nice ecosystem. They do encourage it, as well as the Irish ecosystem is quite healthy, particularly in the last 10 years towards startup generation, and academia is very much focused on industry application, especially for engineering.
We'll go deep into the Irish ecosystem. What are the problems you are trying to solve today? And why did you decide to focus on space and aerospace from the beginning?
Okay, so Infraprint is a 3D printing based company, so we're a hardware developer. We focus mainly on polymers. I know a lot of people here are in the metal space, but high-end, we call super polymers, essentially polymers that we can use to replace metals in a lot of cases is our focus. We developed a technology that uses infrared light rather than convection heating to selectively heat the layers of a print, which gives you a really strong part, which is very isotropic. So for engineering purposes, it's more reliable. It means that it can be used in place of injection molded parts, CNC parts, that kind of thing. We found that we were starting off with that problem. As I said it there, 3D printed parts, everyone assumes are weak, so they don't use them in engineering applications. We're solving that problem. And it's very difficult to convince people that are set in their ways that there's no way that this 3D printed part can be as strong as a CNC part. But space and aerospace are actually typically the trendsetters with technology, so they're more open to new ideas. They're more open to developing the technology, whereas not in all cases, but in many cases, automotive, for example, would want it de-risked to a higher level before they adopt it. Space, and in our case, we do a lot of work with the European Space Agency, Business Incubation Center. They want that lower TRL to bring it up to, say, TRL 7 or 8. Then we can go into the other industries which require the de-risking.
I met Samantha Cristoforetti a few days ago, and I can confirm the ambition. Johan, Rosy Solar is another company involved in sustainability challenges. What is today the biggest issue for the photovoltaic chain of value, and how are you working on them?
Photovoltaic value have big circularity concern. First, you have to know that when you speak about photovoltaics, you mainly speak about one material, which is silicon. So to produce silicon, you start up with 6 tons of raw material to produce only 1 ton of silicon. And it's very CO2 consuming and energy consuming also. So once you've produced this silicon, which is very pure silicon, you have a big ingot and you have to slice it into wafers. And when you slice it, you lose almost 40% of the materials in the form of waste, which is called kerf. So that's the first big concern of the PV chain, that you lose 40% of the material you are trying to produce. And then you use the silicon to produce a PV module. You install them in the field, for example. After 20 years, the module reached the end of its life. And at this stage, there is a module which is composed of very high purity metals. And we have to do something with this. Right now it's waste, it's almost not recycled. That's what we are trying to do, and we are doing at ROSI. We are supplier of very high purity materials, mainly metal, coming from the waste of the PV industry. So we have developed our own processes in order to recover those materials which are lost during the overall PV chain value.
Jan, what about the main goals for the future, both in terms of market and research?
So right now we already have the very first plant in the world which is doing high purity recycling of end-of-life module, which is located in France. And the next goal for us is to go for the rest of Europe, the country in Europe. So first Germany and Spain, because we have to go where the biggest PV sources are presented. We also have Italy in the plan for the future. So that's the first future for ROSI. And the other future is to work on the 40% silicon which is lost during the slicing. So we have developed some processes, and we are right now working on industrializing these processes. But for that, we need to get back global PV production in Europe. That's what we are doing right now.
Federica, students of today will be hopefully managers and entrepreneurs of the future. How can we transfer the key competences of clean tech to students right today?
Yes, good question. Yes, I think that definitely first, as also Erika said before, I think that we need first to understand what skills are needed. And so we are doing a lot of research around this topic. Which skills do we need for embedding circularity within our factories? Circularity principles, but then we need also to identify whether the job profiles are going to change or not, and which are going to be these new job profiles in case. So these are the core things that we need to start on working. For sure, as Politecnico di Milano at least, we are trying to revise our courses. So we are trying to embed at least the Sustainable Development Goals as part of the goals in our courses. So we have specific objectives that we want that our students achieve, and so we try to embed this as part of the courses. We are trying also to insert new courses that are specific on these type of topics, and we are trying also to insert new modules, so a set of courses that create a specialization in this direction. So this is what we are starting to do. For sure, another important stuff is still collaborations with other entities, especially with companies. So I think that there is another important issue is try to learn from concrete examples. So actually also bringing people from other universities, from other but especially from companies, could be a good opportunity for our students. And so we try to organize seminars and try to involve directly these people that could share their experience as much as they can, so that students can learn from them. Obviously, these people that are talking in our classes today are not exactly what we expect to have in 20 years, for sure, but this is the first thing that we can do. So this is what we are trying to do with our students by now. And then another thing is about giving to students the opportunity to concrete operate in companies. And so during their master thesis, most of people are starting to approach to these companies and start to do their stage, at least trying to put their hands in concrete activities and trying to share their knowledge with them, so that there is a sharing of knowledge, and so it could be a good opportunity for both of them.
Does this process of skill transfer go beyond the students and universities? Is something like this?
Yes, sure, absolutely. I think that you have all seen also the list of sponsors. So Politecnico is collaborating with several entities. Among them, there is quite recently funded the MIX, for instance, that is an extended partnerships actually based on collaborations between universities, companies, research centers, and we try to create new research, new knowledge about circularity and about sustainability into the industrial domain. We started for sure some years ago with the Industry 4.0 transitions, and so it was for among the several examples that I can bring. We founded MADE, the Competence Center, that is focused on, yes, Industry 4.0 enabling technologies, but now that we are speaking about the twin transitions, for sure circularity principles need to bring in. And so we are trying to generate new knowledge through these partnerships, through European projects and through other national projects. So we try to collaborate externally with other universities, Italian universities for sure, but also foreign universities. And then this is needed with companies, industrial companies for sure.
John, we have just heard from Federica their vision of open innovation. What does it mean in your case? What are your most important partners today?
Okay, for us, the innovation is in our roots, because for you to know, Satlantis was founded as a spin-off of the Florida University, and we apply innovation in almost all the parts. As in the electronics, in the optomechanics, and in the post-processing. And the things that you talk about, the partners, for us is a key point, because we are specialized in making cameras, and then we also lead the mission. But we need key partners to make the full mission, like the platform mounters, like that they put the satellite or the payload that we made in the rocket. It could be a Falcon 9 of SpaceX, and then once the satellite is launched, for putting in the satellite, we have to control them by contacting and sending data from antennas for another companies that work on them.
John, how is the Spanish government pushing this revolution? There's some program or something specific?
The last year, I would say that the Spanish government is really pushing the aerospace market. In specific, this year, for example, it has been founded the Spanish Space Agency.
Okay.
And in this year also, for example, the PLD Space Company is developing and is testing, and it thrown a rocket this year. And this makes Spain as one of the 10 countries that can fully and in an independent way through a full mission. And also, the last year, the European Space Agency selected Spain to lead one project called Arrakis. That is a project that is focused on studying the dark matter of the universe. and to have a better understanding of our surroundings. And in this specific project in Atlantis, we are going to have a big part of it.
Jan, technology could be a great driver of sustainability. Can you tell us something more about the technological heart of your business?
I will try to be brief because I'm a scientist and I always love to speak about technology, but it probably will be a little bit too long to explain. What you have to understand when you speak about a solar panel is that it's like a big sandwich of material which is built to last for years. So when you want to get back the material which are in it, it is very complicated. So a solar panel is basically a solar cells which is composed of very pure materials, silicon, silver, copper and aluminum mainly. On the top of that you have a layer of glass, and underneath you have polymer backsheet. And all these layers are glued and stick together with layers of polymers. So if you want to get the material and get the high purity of the material you have in the panel, first you have to be able to detach all these layer and material from each other. So we develop a first step, which is a pyrolysis process. The main goal of this one is to transform the polymer, which is gluing all the layers together, into a gas. And this gas, after all, is burned and produce heat that we recover and that can heat our facility. So once we have detached all this material, we go into mechanical sorting in order to separate glass from copper from the silicon cells. And after all, you have a very last process to detach the silver finger from the silicon cells, which is a process which is done in soft chemical treatment. It has to be soft because there is no sense to make recycling using hard acid or anything. And at the end of the process, you recover high purity glass, copper, silver, and silicon that can be integrated into the value chain of the pure materials.
Jan, you do all of this alone, or open innovation is a key factor also in your case?
It all started from R&D work supported by university, but to get big and to go from lab to industry, we did have a lot of support, mainly from Europe. That's really what allows us to go from the lab to the industry. Europe have a key role to play in this, in the development of the circularity. The first one I said is to help a company to go from lab to industry. That's essential, and that's very well working through big innovation programs such as 2020 or Horizon project. But it's not enough. Europe also have a big role to play with regulation. It has to support all the and to work with all the industry to define a real regulation and rules to define what will be the good practice, the best way to make this industry work. Maybe to classify a solar panel. Right now it's a waste. In some countries it's a waste. We can process them. In other countries it's classified differently and we can't process them. You need regulation to support industry and to make it mandatory, for example, to reuse the silicon. The last role for Europe, and it may concern you all today, is to support education. To develop this industry toward Europe, we will need some young people with technical competencies in research, industrialization, project leading to develop all this industry toward Europe, because we will need people willing to make this industry more sustainable, and we will need people knowing how to do it in each country, because we may need to work differently in Germany, in Spain, or in Italy.
And this leads me to Andrew. Our future should be hopefully low waste or no waste. Every little contribution could be great. What is yours?
So the low waste, no waste if preferable, although I don't believe in a no waste manufacturing process. Low waste should always be the goal, and it sometimes makes me sad when you see certain processes that have horrifically high waste rates and scrappage rates, and so we're trying to solve that problem essentially. First of all, 3D printing is inherently a low waste process. It pretty much always has been. We'll ignore the fact that the input materials are typically more refined, but in general, if you're putting in 100% material, you're getting out maybe 95% of what you put in. It's very low waste. In InfraPrint's technology on top of that, we add energy efficiency to it, and then the fact that we also have a superior product at the end. By using infrared heat rather than convection heating, so traditionally you just put a 3D printer in an oven, essentially. It's not very efficient. We can selectively heat the areas that need to be heated and not bother heating the rest. So the process itself is more energy efficient. And then we have this output, which in our case, we market typically towards replacing a lot of metals. And to put a bit of an example on that, the European Space Agency project we're working on is focused very much on replacing aluminium components for the Ariane 6 launcher, the next generation launcher, with that of PEEK or a carbon fiber composite of some kind. And the key criteria there is that, one, weight, because everything that goes to space needs to be light, but also aluminium is now on the critical materials list. And these vehicles are typically burned up in the atmosphere on re-entry, or they're lost in the sea. We don't have SpaceX-type vehicles in Europe just yet, so we're losing these materials. We can't recover them no matter how recyclable they are. So by switching over to polymers, which don't require ore as such, there are multiple sources, we can solve that problem. And putting numbers to that would be an aluminium CNC box that typically we use is about 85% scrap. So a block, 85% of it is thrown in the bin. And the prototypes we're developing right now are just under 1% waste. So a significant reduction.
More than a little contribution. Are Ireland and Europe ideal ecosystem to overcome these challenges?
I would say maybe 20 years ago, Ireland probably wasn't amazing, but now in the last 10, 15 years, it's a real hub for startups. Traditionally, software, IT, and fintech would be the focus, but manufacturing is becoming a bigger focus now because of how sustainable it is. It's much less fluctuant around, especially recessions and that kind of thing. So there's more focus on it. And then in terms of Europe, obviously we're sitting here, so this is a good example of it being a good environment. But in my own experience, EIT manufacturing and the European Space Agency's incubation center have been the key supports for us, and they're brilliant.
And if you want, you can move to Italy. It's a great place to live and to make business. Andrew Dixon, John Duo, Federica Cerbi, Johan Parsa, thank you so much. And now, if I'm right, it's the time for the second award ceremony. I don't know if Lucia, Valeria, and Ilaria are ready. I hope so. I try to call them. Let's try and let's see what happens. For the YML European Innovation Contest, our future youth in action for Industry 5.0, Lucy Lavunkova. Oh, it's good. It's great. It's good.
Yeah, almost good.
PhD student at CTU Prague and YML CTR Prague coordinator. Valeria Tirelli, CEO at Hydro and coordinator of Women in 3D Printing. And Ilaria Ardizzoia, co-owner of 3NTR Additive Manufacturing System. And she's involved in Women in 3D Printing. Thank you so much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to be here in the name of Prague City Hub and to present Young Manufacturer European Innovation Contest. The topic this year was Our Future, Young in Action for Industry 5.0. And our goal for the contest this year aimed to encourage young people to be the problem solvers and change makers to help industries improve towards sustainable development. So they were tasked to identify a real-life industrial challenge related to Industry 5.0, digitalization, sustainability, people-centricity, and/or resilience. I have to also thank everyone who was helping with the whole process of YML Contest this year, and also to thank Women in 3D Printing for partnership on the contest. Women in 3D Printing is a global association dedicated to promoting, supporting, and inspiring women in manufacturing industries. And probably without further ado, let's start the awarding ceremony.
Thank you, Lucy. So we are ready to celebrate our winners. But first of all, I'd like to thank you, all the participants. We received a lot of papers and videos, so thank you very much. It's always very nice to see big participation from young peoples. And now be ready for the first winners. We have decided to have 3 third places because we received so many applications. So I'd like to invite the first on the third stage. So Agnes Anderson and Caroline Mattisen. Welcome. So you have one present from Women in 3D Printing. So of course it's a 3D printed gadget. So thank you very much. And the certificate from YMLS. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you very much, congratulations. So we have the second, third place again, and we have Luca Torelli. Welcome, Luca, also for you. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. So the third place, we have 2 ladies, Elisa Roth and Mirko Moenks. Sorry. 1 girl and 1 boy. But you know, we are women 3D printing, so we are always welcome ladies, but also gentlemen. Congratulations, congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go to the second place. Okay, we have Andrea Maniscalchi. Welcome, Andrea. Thank you very much for your participation. Congratulations. Okay, are you ready for the first place? Yes? Perfect. Now we have 2 ladies, Samantha Grillenzoni and Laura Oggioni. Congratulations. So welcome on the stage. Now we have also your video. So I think we have time to see your presentation. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
SAFE is a program based on artificial intelligence that can manage the emergency evacuation of workers. A network of cameras and facial body recognition software identify, count, and immediately communicate the number of employees outside the building, and also the names and the number of those still inside to competent authorities and security managers. Further, data acquired by the program detect the health status of people exiting the building and whether anyone is injured. Employees are free to declare some of their medical condition important for emergency services. Surely, everything is done with the utmost respect for privacy. This software finds its best target in companies that need to manage a large amount of people during an evacuation.
Let's consider its cost. A major cost is software development, even though its basis of object detecting and facial body recognizing do already exist, so it's rather assembling and installing them together than creating something new from zero. Then there are the camera's costs that can be covered by the industries if they already have some outdated ones. Let's see the benefits. Apart from employer security, which we can't ignore, there's the fact that this program really brings technology and humans closer and closer together. And then, last but not least, it can be easily improved. I'll show you. In 1 year, SAFE will be ready to be used, and in 5 years, we'll be using these SAFE technologies to make developments such as recognizing people are in a dangerous situation or have the right PPEs, for example. And then, as we hope that security will always be at the forefront of innovation, in 10 years, we hope that SAFE will be using technologies that don't exist yet. Because 10 years can feel like forever. Because how long is forever? Well, we don't know, but we just have to remember one thing.
Okay, so we can stop it. Thank you very much. Congratulations to the winners. Again, thank you for all the participants and, of course, the organization YML. See you next year.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Valeria. And thank you, Ilaria. Unfortunately, time flies, but we still have something important to say. And I would like to do it with our last two speakers of this event. Joanna Miranda Pinto, she's a project manager, Digital and Intelligent Industry Lab at University of Porto. And John Power, PhD student at University College Dublin. Applause for our guests. Joanna, John, who wants to start?
Yeah, I can start. Thank you. I have just some notes that I'd like to share with you. So in this rapidly evolving landscape of technology and industry, there are several topics that came across our mind when we need to consider in order to grow. Education, diversity, innovation, entrepreneurship, giving opportunities to young people. But the importance of upskilling and reskilling the existing talent, who is also involved in this change, cannot be overstated. As we witness the transformative power of innovation, it becomes evident that adapting our skills is not merely a choice, but a need. As we are in the European Year for Skills, it's never enough to say that reskilling is the key to staying relevant in a dynamic job market where the demands of employers are constantly shifting. Empowering minds to embrace change, fostering a culture of continuous learning, and ensuring that workforce remains agile in the face of emerging challenges is the key for the success. Moreover, reskilling is not just about personal career development, it's an investment in the collective strength of our communities. Moreover, and by equipping ourselves with new competencies, we can contribute to the resilience and competitiveness of our local and global economies. As young manufacturing leaders, we should prioritize a few key elements. Embrace technologies. Stay ahead on the technological advances in the manufacturing. Continuous learning. The manufacturing landscape evolves rapidly. Team collaboration. Foster this culture is crucial for solving challenges and driving innovation in the manufacturing process. Leadership development. Understand how to motivate and guide your team, make informed decisions, and adapt to the challenging situations and circumstances. Environmental and social responsibility. Sustainable and responsible practices not only align with modern values, but also contribute to long-term business values and business success. Global perspective, understand the big picture. Networking, which can provide you valuable insights, mentorship opportunities, and potential collaborations. Ethical leadership, be an example. Build trust within your team. Safeguard the reputation of your organization. Let us recognize that the journey of reskilling is not always easy, but it is a journey worth taking. It is a commitment to growth, a commitment to shaping the future where adaptability is a prized skill. So let's keep growing. The young manufacturing leaders community, embark on this journey together, embrace the opportunities that reskilling presents, and contribute ourselves to this quest, paving the way for a brighter, innovative tomorrow. As someone said previously today, trust you, trust your values, your growth, and you are facing the consequences tomorrow. We are living that tomorrow. So who else can do that contribution besides us? Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. You took just a few notes on this afternoon. John.
Thank you for all being a part of this enlightening and engaging forum. So over the past 2 days, we've had the privilege of hearing from industry experts, leaders and innovators who've shared their valuable insights into the manufacturing sector and the incredible potential that lies ahead. So as we come to a close, I'd like to take a moment to reflect on some of the key takeaways and emphasize the future challenges that lie ahead, particularly for young manufacturing leaders in this room. Firstly, I'd like to express my gratitude for all the speakers and sponsors and everyone who helped organize it. I'm going to single out Marta from YML and Antonella for WMF, so a quick round of applause for them. The exchange of ideas and the opportunity to meet YML members from all over Europe has been fantastic, and I've really enjoyed meeting all of you and sharing ideas and discussions and some great food. So we've explored new technologies and sustainable practices and innovative strategies that will undoubtedly shape the future, but we also have recognized that there are many challenges that face this sector. Rapidly evolving technology such as AI is going to present incredible new opportunities, but it's also going to present a lot of particular challenges. So as some of our previous speakers have mentioned, one of those is we need a highly skilled and adaptable workforce. We need to reskill ourselves, our current people in the industry and future members of the industry. So we need leaders who will be equipped with the technical expertise and the ability to continuously learn and adapt to new technologies, and lifelong learning will be the cornerstone of success in the future manufacturing industry. Another challenge that's been highlighted is sustainability. As stewards for our planet, we must prioritize environmentally friendly practices in manufacturing, and young engineers are vital in driving innovation towards sustainable solutions that benefit both industry and the planet. Furthermore, the manufacturing sector must address the issue of diversity and inclusion. So embracing a diverse workforce fosters innovation and profitability, but it also helps us build towards a more equitable and equal society. And lastly, the interconnected global economy requires engineers to think beyond borders. So collaboration on an international scale, like YML, will be essential for solving complex challenges and driving progress. So members of YML, in my opinion, should actively seek opportunities for global collaboration, fostering a culture of knowledge exchange and mutual growth. So in conclusion, the future of manufacturing holds immense promise, but it's not without its challenges. So as we wrap up this forum, let us commit ourselves to solving these challenges. By investing in education, promoting diversity, and encouraging innovation, we can ensure that young manufacturing leaders are well prepared to tackle the challenges and seize the opportunities that lie ahead. So thank you all for your participation. I look forward to seeing the positive impact all of you will make in shaping this industry. Safe travels home, and hopefully I can see you all again sometime soon.
I think that these remarks are the best closing for this event. It has been a real pleasure for me to be here with the young manufacturing leaders. I hope it has been the same for you. I would like to thank again all the speakers, the coordinators, and all the wonderful people that make this event possible. I feel your passion as young leaders, and this is why I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.